Welcome students. Today I will discuss the first chapter of class 11 physics, that is related with measurement. And actually this chapter is combination of all chapters because we have to use the concept of measurement in all chapters. So here it is not possible to complete all the dimensions or dimensional formula. We cannot complete like this. But the idea we have to develop, and from there we can treat the next chapters. Okay. Now in measurement, so measurement. This is the first chapter of class 11 in physics, and first you should know what can be measured. What can be measured? And the measurable factors, we know that these are known as quantity. Quantity is the measurable factors. Okay. Now, if we consider this is a body, the amount of matter present here, this is called quantity. No, not that. Actually, the matters related with this body which can be measured. Just we can measure the length, we can measure the breadth, so area also. Length into breadth means area. We can measure the volume. We can measure the mass and volume means density also. So these measurable factors, whatever present here, these are known as quantity. And in quantity, we have two types. One, scalar, and that is vector. These are well known to you. Scalar means the quantity which has magnitude and not direction is not required to mention, and vector means we have magnitude as well as direction, both required. Okay. Now, if I give some examples that scalar quantity means work, but vector quantity means torque, both F into D, both force into distance, work also, and that moment of torque also, both F into D, but one is scalar, one is vector, because that depends on the nature of the quantity, whether we have to put the direction or not. This distance and displacement. Displacement is considered as vector, but distance is scalar. So on the depending of the quantity, we have to decide whether it is vector or scalar. Means whether direction is required or not. Now I am giving some examples where it is seemed that distance is required. Just time, very simple, time we know now it is present, and it was few moments ago it was past, and afterwards future. So you can say time is moving from past, present and future. Therefore we have to put the direction also. So many quantities you will find where it is seen that we have to put some direction there. We should put some direction. But you have to keep in mind one thing, that if the direction remains same always, means time is going from past to future, past, present, future. So there is no alternate way. That time means one dimension. That time it is not required to consider as a vector. You can consider as a scalar. Just if you can consider the current intensity. Current intensity is a scalar quantity. But current, we know that current can be measured with ammeter, so magnitude is there and direction also there, because it is going from a higher potential to lower potential. Therefore, we should put the direction and magnitude both, but not required. So it is not a vector. It has the direction and magnitude I can consider, but it is not a vector because it always moves from higher potential to lower potential. So direction is one only. So when unidimensional, then it is not required to consider vector. Okay. Now I am going to the next part. So this is quantity. Then we have unit. Whenever we want to measure something, some quantity, then we have to put proper unit. Without unit, there is no meanings of measurement. Without unit, there is no meanings of measurement. So we have to put some unit. Proper unit you have to put. And let if you want to find out the length, then you are putting the meter or centimeter. If it is said that the length of the room is 20, but it's over. So it is not right answer. So 20 feet, 20 meter, whatever you have to put there, then it is the correct one. So proper measurement means unit is required. And here also we have two types. One is fundamental units and another is derived unit. Fundamental units and derived units. Fundamental means which are independent from each other and with which we can establish the other units. These are known as fundamental units, like length, mass, time, temperature, current intensity, like this. Few only we have fundamental, but derived there is no limit. Many units there with the derived unit. Very many units there derived. Okay. And whenever we want to form derived unit, we have to use the fundamental units with proper power, and that power is known as dimension. So next topic is dimension. So first, what is that chapter? That name is measurement, and which can be measured, that is quantity. And wherever you want to measure, that time you have to put proper unit. And unit two types, fundamental and derived. Fundamental only few you have, mass, length, temperature, current intensity, etc. Only few, but derived there is no limit. So when derived you want to form, that time you have to use the fundamental unit and you have to put the proper power. Okay. So here the next topic is about dimension. Dimension. So dimension means the powers which are required to form derived units is known as dimension. Just we can consider that area. Area means length into breadth. So here also length is fundamental, breadth also length. This is fundamental and area means L square. So here dimension is 2. But in the case of volume, we have to take length, breadth and the height also. So here length also L, breadth also L and height also L. So it is coming L cube. So in this way we can understand that fundamental units are used here. Fundamental units are used here with proper power. That power is known as dimension. That power is known as dimension. Now, what is dimensional formula? Dimensional formula. See, if we want to represent any quantity with the fundamental units and with proper power, proper dimension, then the representation is known as dimensional formula. Just you can consider that force. Force means mass into acceleration. So mass in acceleration means L by T square. That is m to the power 1, L to the power 1, T to the power minus 2. So this total formation is known as dimensional formula and always remains within third bracket. And capital, these are capital, the fundamental ones. So here dimension is 1, here dimension is 1, here dimension is 2, minus 2. So therefore you can understand, whenever we want to represent any quantity, we have to use the fundamental one with proper power. That power is dimension. Okay. Now one more important point is here, with which maximum numericals of this chapter can be solved. Okay, that is dimensional homogeneity principle. Dimensional homogeneity principle. What is this? We know that in physics we have many physical equations that like S equal to Vt, V equal to U plus At, okay, and S equal to Ut plus half Ft square, S equal to Ut plus half of At square, like this. Many equations we have, and V equal to IR also. So these are the very basic equations also. And whatever equation you are writing in physics, you will get fundamental units present on both sides. The fundamental units are present on both sides of the equations, and the dimension of the fundamental units on both sides must be same. This is called dimensional homogeneity principle. This is known as dimensional homogeneity principle. So dimension of the fundamental units present on both sides must be same, that which is known as dimensional homogeneity principle. Now with this principle we can derive any unknown relation. So these are known as applications of homogeneity principle. The first one is derivation of any unknown equation. Just let the time period of a pendulum is discussed possibility. So time period means from here to here, what is the time? And we don't know what should be the expression, or sometimes we have seen in book that t equal to 2 pi something written there. But from where we have received this expression, that can be discussed here. Let the time period depends on the mass of the ball, the length of the string, and the acceleration due to gravity. So these are the factors which are deciding the time period of pendulum. These are the factors which are deciding the time period of pendulum. So t is a time period. So this can be considered here this derived unit. It is not actually a derived unit, but according to this operation, we can consider the time is the derived unit, and these are the fundamental, because these will form this one. So this A, L, G, these are the fundamental units here, and time period will be derived, and this proportional to dimension x, y, z. These are the powers in dimension. So these powers are required to form the derived unit time period. Now we will say here t equal to k, m to the power x, l to the power y, and g to the power z. That is now we can use the homogeneity principle. See, in left hand side, what is the dimensional formula? Left hand side means time period, means m0, l0, t1, and in right hand side, this m to the power x, l to the power y, g means l t to the power minus 2 to the power z. So from here, that simplification is required: m to the power x, l to the power y plus z, and t to the power minus 2z. Now you compare these dimensions. This is the homogeneity principle only. You can compare the dimensions now. So by comparing, we are getting that x equal to 0. Okay, here I am writing here. By comparing means homogeneity principle. By using homogeneity principle, you are getting here x equal to 0, and y plus z equal to 0, and here minus 2z equal to 1, so z equal to minus half, and y equal to plus half. Then time period t equal to, we are getting here m0 k, m0, l to the power half, and g to the power minus half. Therefore t equal to k root over l by g. So this value of k is equal to 2 pi, which will be proved mathematically afterwards. But this is the way with which we can find out the time period of simple pendulum. by using dimensional homogeneity principle. Okay. Now one more application. If some equation is given to you which is not in your knowledge, unknown equation, so that you have to verify whether it is right or wrong. I am giving some equation which is totally unknown to you, but you have to clarify whether it is right or wrong. Like whenever a cyclist is going on a straight road, he remains perpendicular to the road, but whenever taking turn, always it bends towards the center. Let this bending angle is theta. Okay, so whenever we are taking turn, we bend always. Let this bending angle is theta, and the theta, the tan theta depends on velocity and radius of curvature of the road and g. So maybe this is the equation, or maybe v square by rg, or maybe v square v by r square g. Anything it may happen. So you have to check whether this, I have given the tan theta equal to v square by rg, whether it is right or wrong. So left hand side, what is the dimensional formula? That is m0, l0, t0. Because tan theta means perpendicular by base, so it is always dimensionless. It is always dimensionless quantity, therefore this is the dimensional formula of left hand side. Now coming to the right hand side. Right hand side, v square means l t to the minus 1 square by l, and g means l t to the power minus 2. And from here also we are getting that m0, l0, t0. So as the dimensional on the both sides of the equations are equal, therefore the given equation is correct. So this is the way to check the unknown equation. One more application is there from the dimensional homogeneity principle, and this is that let the value of any quantity is n1 in one system. Let's in CGS system the value of g is 980 semi-percent square. Okay, and this is the quantity, and the dimension are m to the power a, l1 to the power b, t1 to the power c. Now in another system, in SI system it is 9.8, so or FPS it is 32 foot per second square. In another system, the quantity is value is m2, and m2 to the power a, l2 to the power b, t2 to the power c. So this a, b, c are the constant. So the dimensions, a, b, c are the dimensions, and which are same for both the system, but the values are different. Now if compare that, then m2 equal to, you will get n1, m1 by m2 to the power a, l1 by l2 to the power b, and t1 by t2 to the power c. So this is the way through which we can transfer the value of any quantity from one system to another system. Okay, we can transfer the value of any quantity from one system to another system. So these are the important facts I have discussed. Rest part I will give on the next day. Thank you.